Dump back in the Toronto zone, and at the blue line, here comes Courtnall to Gartner, a shot, and it's and rises up crowd out of play with 18 minutes and 28 seconds left here first period. No score.
Murray saw his Capitals take a 1-0 lead last night at Le Colisée in Quebec and then quickly fall behind on 3 straight power plays from the Nordique. The Capitals will give...
Okay. I'm going to give it to you first.
Beechwood aids for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Canon Cameras, makers of EOS, the world's most advanced autofocus system. By Roy Rogers, great burgers, great chicken. By Giant Food, we care about quality, value, and service. We care about you. And by Amtrak, the civilized shuttle to New York.
Tonight, live from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, it's the Washington Capitals and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Good evening, everybody. Mike Forens, your play-by-play host, along with Al Koken. The Capitals have a win and a loss so far against the Maple Leafs in the most recent outing, a 3-0 whitewashing of the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Capitol Center. Al Koken is with us. Jeff Rimmer is standing by downstairs. The Caps right now, Al, in first place, tied with the Pittsburgh Penguins as a result of last night's tie at...
For the Capitals, they fell behind 4-1 to Quebec. Brian Murray was disappointed in the way they played, but felt that the refereeing was not up to what he thought should have been the standard from Ron Hogarth. Capitals gave up 3 power play goals early, but rallied with 2 goals in the third period to get that point, and now you're in a building, even though the Maple Leafs are coming off a nice victory themselves, a 3-0 shutout Monday over Vancouver. This building has been easy for other teams to walk in and steal 2 points. The Maple Leafs have the worst home record in the NHL.
Well, we'll see if the Caps can do it tonight. Coach Brian Murray is standing by downstairs right now with Jeff Rimmer. Jeff?
Thanks, Mike. Brian, first off, a word on last night's game, if we could, and a big point for the Capitals.
Well, a big point coming back the way we did. I think if we'd have been in the reverse position and been ahead and given it up, we would have been really unhappy. But getting behind, giving up 3 power play goals early in the game, and then being able to rally showed a lot of great determination, and I thought we played awfully well in the second and third period in particular.
Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, the hockey shrine. Is it difficult for your team to get up for a game like tonight's?
Well, it's not difficult at all. Most of our people have friends or relatives here. The unfortunate part of playing in this building at times is that they try to do far too much, put on the show to entertain their families in a lot of cases, rather than just playing the disciplined system that we have to play. But on normal circumstances, we play okay in here.
As you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, here's a hockey club that's struggling, but they're coming off a 3-0 shutout win, a club that your team shut out last week back at Washington.
Well, they keep the game close. Alan Bester's been playing very well. He played against us, and I thought played a very good game at the Cab Center. He's going again tonight. They've got Gary Lehman and Eddie Olchuk, who have a big line for them. The thing that we have to do is play against their defense, get the puck in, forecheck, and if we do that, I've got to believe we're a little better and stronger hockey club than they are.
Brian, a word on the fact that the Capitals tonight with a victory would move into sole possession of first place, and quite a climb from earlier on this season when a lot of people were wondering about the character of this hockey club.
Well, we've come a long way, as you mentioned, Jeff, and in previous years it seemed to me that we were always the team trying to catch up. It would be nice to be in first place, and then we'd worry about somebody catching us.
All right, Coach, good luck tonight, and first place for the Capitals, hopefully when it's over.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Caps coach Brian Murray with us. Let's go back upstairs now to Mike Forens and Al Koken.
All right, Jeff, thanks very much. The Capitals and the Maple Leafs about to do battle here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, and Al and I will be back to bring you tonight's opening face-off right after this.
There's a special feeling at Giant Food in everything we do. It's the feeling that you get from people who care. We put quality and value in everything we do. But most of all, we care about you. At Giant Food, we care about you.
The CMP Telephone Yellow Pages helps build your business. So to prove you're talking to a CMP salesperson, your CMP business card plate.
Funny thing.
Your CMP card? You forgot yours, right?
No, it's right here. Now, let's talk about your ad.
Always check to be positive. For the CNP telephone Yellow Pages, the one that works.
On Amtrak's Metroliner service, you can spread out over breakfast. The air shuttle encourages closer working relationships. On Metroliner service, you can have a private conversation. The plane, however, offers conference calls. On Amtrak's Metroliner service, you can travel first class. On the air shuttle, everyone gets treated equally.
We interrupt this purchase for a reminder.
I've got to have it.
There's still one more place to comparison shop.
I don't know where to start.
Here, by choosing the card that actually pays you cash. Cash back for every charge. The Discover card.
That's the one.
It's perfect.
It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
Friday night at 8, the Bullets roll into Motown to take on Isaiah Thomas and the defending Eastern Conference champion Detroit Pistons. Watch the excitement of NBA basketball right here on DC 20.
Greetings once again from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Mike Forens with Al Koken and Jeff Rimmer here on your superstation for sports, DC 20. Here's the refereeing crew for tonight's hockey game. Officiating this contest will be Rob Schick. And the linesmen are Ron Asseltine and Pat DePuzzo. Now look at the starting goaltenders for this evening's contest. Starting in goal for the Washington Capitals is Pete Peters. 9 wins, 3 losses, and 3 ties in 16 appearances. A 2.83 goals against average and a pretty good lifetime record against Toronto of 10-5-1. Alan Bester gets the call for the Toronto Maple Leafs. 2-2-1 in his career against the Caps. 6-7-0 on the season. In 13 games, posting a 3.48 goals against average. He has 2 shutouts. Pete Peters has 3. Ken Reggett is the backup for Toronto. And Clint Malarchuk is backing up tonight for Washington. The Capitals take the game's first draw. We're underway. It's thrown back inside the Maple Leaf zone. Now here's Ivan Korovo on the backboards. He slips it over to Dave Christian. Christian back passes into the corner again, and Korovo goes to take it, but he's checked on the play, and it's cleared out of the zone now by Ed Olczyk to the blue line. Kept in there, tossed behind the net, and Borja Salming starts out. Leads it ahead on the right wing. Now to Gary Lehman, across the line to Todd Gill, and as he tries to walk in, it's swatted away by Dave Christian. Now played over to Gustafson, out to center ice. Scott Stevens a long slap shot, and that's stopped by the pads of Alan Bester. Salming behind the net. He works it out now to Lehman on the right wing, flips it ahead to Olczyk across the line, 2-on-1, and Olczyk tries the shot way up high, and it misses, hitting the glass. Now Mike Ridley, back for Washington. Inside the Leaf blue line, throws to the corner. Gartner lets it go behind the net. Here's Kelly Miller to the corner after it. He jams up with Olczyk. Miller for the Capitals, over now to Ridley. Ridley back in behind the goal. Bester plays it away to the corner, and Miller tries to go after it, has some difficulty skating there, and now here come the Leafs back on the right wing. Lehman taken out by Langway. Quick lead pass out to Kelly Miller. Dump back inside the Toronto zone, and at the blue line, here comes Courtnall to Gartner, a shot, and it's deflected and rises up into the crowd out of play with 18 minutes and 28 seconds left here in this first period. No score.
Brian Murray saw his Capitals take a 1-0 lead last night at Le Colisée in Quebec and then quickly fall behind on 3 straight power play goals from the Nordique. The Capitals want to make sure they don't give Toronto an opportunity to really jump ahead in this game. Toronto has got a very strong record when they lead after one period, and George Armstrong, the Toronto coach, has done a pretty strong job since taking over for John Brophy, a team in turmoil, and Armstrong has got them playing almost 500 hockey under his command at 4-5-1.
From the draw, the Leafs start out now, and here comes Iafrate up to center ice for Dom Foose. Gets across the blue line, drops the pass. Fergus cuts in, he passes, and the shot is blocked to the corner. Dan Marois had the drive, but it's played back in behind the goal. Now Langway wrestles for it, brings it ahead to Kevin Hatcher. On the left wing side, it's Courtnall to center ice. Flips across the blue line, too far for Hunter. He and Iafrate go to the backboards, and it's over in the corner now for Steve Leach. Stephen Leach drops it back. Courtnall ties up on the play. And Leach hangs on along the sideboards, but now Fergus starts back. Here comes Tom Fergus for Toronto. Gets it up ahead to center ice. Chris Katsopoulos throws it back inside the Washington zone. And Peters leads it over for Hatcher. Out to Leach, now to Courtnall at center ice. And back inside the Maple Leaf zone. No score here in the first period. 17:30 to play. Stolen pass at center ice. John Druce works it loose, but it's picked up now by Dan Daou. Over to Luke Richardson on defense. At center ice, it is off the stick of Larry Murphy and pops into the first row of seats right behind the glass, out of play.
Back in action tonight, Jeff Courtnall, after missing last night's game against the Quebec Nordiques. Courtnall was available for duty, but Brian Murray wanted to make sure he was feeling well after suffering that concussion in a collision with Steve Conroy of the Chicago Blackhawks. It looked like, you know, watching replays after that game, Mike, it looked like when Conroy hit him with his helmet, and that, I think, may have knocked Courtnall out, and then Courtnall fell to the ice and hit his head. So a little double damage done to Jeff Courtnall, but seems to be okay and ready to go tonight.
He's sure resilient, bouncing all over the ice and then bouncing right back to be available again for action. Here's Bob Gould in to do some forechecking, and the puck is thrown over the glass and into the Toronto bench, out of play. The Leafs missing Brian Curran with a neck injury. Derek Laxdal out with an injured thumb. Wendell Clark, of course, with a back injury that has kept him out this year. And Doug Shedden has had some knee problems that are keeping him sidelined. They have scratched Al Secord and Darren Beach for this contest, and John Kordick has been suspended. The Capitals scratching Peter Sundstrom and Neil Sheehy. But injury-free are the Washington Capitals. The draw goes to the corner. Lou Franciscetti ties up there with Lands, and now Bob Gould and Dan Daou both working on it, trying to get it loose. It just lays there, and finally Gould works it out front. A shot and a goal! A quick wrist shot off the stick of John Druce. He picked the top corner of the net, going high on the glove side of Alan Bester. And the Washington Capitals have taken a 1-0 lead.
One of the many Capitals from Ontario around the Toronto area, so John Druce has got friends and family here, and he makes a beautiful play. But the whole thing is set up in Catholic Capitals style. Hard work, banging. Franciscetti knocked down, but look at the little spin move that Gould puts in the corner on Daou, and then Luke Richardson looked like he was sound asleep. Lets that puck get right to Druce. Does not tie up Druce, and Druce with that quick snapshot beats Bester to give the Capitals the 1-0 lead.
Lou Franciscetti and Bobby Gould get the assists at 3:13 on John Druce's second goal as a Washington Capital. Druce was getting a little anxious, waiting on that second one to come in. The first one was his first National Hockey League goal, and it occurred some time ago. So there's John Druce's second. Bengt Gustafsson now back to his own blue line. Led ahead to Christian and bounced out to center ice now for Marsh. Brad Marsh, the former Philadelphia Flyer, back in his own zone, out to Ed Olczyk. He brings to center ice for Lehman. Lehman works across the blue line. Chased by Ledyard to the sideboards. Now Todd Gill gets a stick on it, but Ledyard's right there. And he feeds it ahead for Gustafsson. Off the skates of Christian and back out to center. Here's Marsh to take it. Brad Marsh and Rod Langway, the only helmetless players in this hockey game. Play is called. There's a break in the action with a score. The Washington Capitals 1 and the Toronto Maple Leafs 0.
Hey, Fred, give me a pizza with extra cheese.
Extra cheese.
And hold the tomato sauce.
Hold the tomato sauce.
And hold the crust.
Hold the crust. Hey, Jimmy, give me a cheese with nothing. Nothing?
Now you can have the best part of the pizza without the pizza. Polly-O string cheese, all natural, individually wrapped cheese snacks.
Is this what you want?
Bellissimo. Magnifique.
C'est bon.
Try Polly-O string cheese. It's the best part of the pizza.
The face-off at center ice. 15:51 left to play here in the first period. Mike Fornes with Al Koken and Jeff Rimmer here on your Superstation for Sports, DC 20. John Druce's second goal of the season has given the Capitals this 1-0 lead, and here's another high-scoring Washington Capital player, Mike Ridley. Ridley with 26 goals on the season. He's the team leader in both goals and in points. He has 50 points. Scott Stevens behind the Capitals net. Works it out to Gartner. He pokes it ahead on the left wing side. Now a trade of passes. Miller back to Gartner across the blue line. Gartner flips it right in front, but it's sent to the corner boards now by Alan Bester from the Maple Leaf goal. Played to the blue line. Fergus has it popped free by Ridley. Now back to Al Iafrate. Off the boards to the point. Kelly Miller keeps it in. To the corner, missing Ridley. Bester dumps it along the sideboards, and Gartner throws it behind the net. That comes right over to Dan Marois, and the Leaf rookie tosses it out to center ice now for Fergus. Fergus a pass intended for Dom Foose, picked off, and Gartner rifles a drive on goal. Bester makes the save. Lead pass on the left wing side now for Fergus. He sends it across the line back into the corner, and Scott Stevens is there to take it. Here's Stevens out to Murphy. On the left wing to Courtnall, kicks it into the corner, has Rick Lands right on him. Steve Leach follows up the play, and he's checked by Dave Reed. Back to the point. It gets past Langway, and Rod chases it all the way back into his own zone. The icing is waved off. Langway backboards the puck over to Grant Ledyard. Dave Reed ties him up. Now it's out to former Capital Craig Laughlin on the right wing side for Lands. He fires from the point, and his drive is stopped by Pete Peters. Into the corner now for Laughlin. He centers it. Peters swats that away with that big goal stick. Out comes Courtnall on the attack. He's across the Maple Leaf blue line. Right wing pass to Steve Leach. Tries to go back to Courtnall, and he's sent into the Leaf net. And the net becomes dislodged now, but there's a hooking penalty call coming from referee Rob Schick. The time of the call, 5:53 of this first period of play, and the penalty is going to go against Rick Lands for hooking of Toronto. Capitals on the power play when we come back. There's a break in the action with the score. Washington 1, Toronto 0.
People are always asking me, what's the secret to a long life? Well, I'll tell you. Never drink, never smoke, and never, ever learn to cook.
Time for the first Circuit City Power Play contest. Contestant number 1, Ed Fisher of Gaithersburg, Maryland. Ed has chosen Dale Hunter as the Capitals player to score in this power play. If Dale Hunter scores, Ed receives a video or stereo unit courtesy of Circuit City.
Now from the face-off, it's quickly picked off and sent all the way down by Paul Gagne on the penalty-killing unit for the Leafs. Gagne is up front, along with Dan Daou. The blue liners are Marsh and Salming. Gustafson across the line, but Christian was in early, and the play is called offside. Mike Miller, the other forward, while Scott Stevens back on the point, as well as Larry Murphy. And now Brian Murray is going to change that up. Mike Ridley comes out, and Courtnall scoots over on the bench. Gustafson also takes a seat on the bench. Now it's Stevens out there with Murphy, Ridley up front with Miller on the right and Christian on the left. Lands the penalty call for hooking at 5:53. Washington's power play ranked 5th in the NHL at 24%. In penalty killing, the Leafs are 19th out of the 21 teams at 74%. Here's another outside call to stop play. Special teams, I would think, would have to be a major concern of George Armstrong in taking over the captaincy of the Leafs behind the bench. But then again, many people would argue there are several places you could improve.
Well, you talk about the special teams, and their penalty killing not great, but their power play the worst in the league, and they're just saying they're not getting enough shots. People passing up chances to put the puck on the net in an effort to try and make the perfect play.
Here's Daou against Ridley from the draw, and Daou beats him cleanly, brings it back to Salming, and he just slaps it all the way down. Peters roadblocks at the side of the net, now leaves it there for Larry Murphy. 1-0, Capitals have the lead. They're on the power play attack right now for another minute and 16 seconds. Murphy drives it in from center ice. Off the sideboards. Daoud jams up with Christian. Now back into the corner. Here's Ridley to take it. Reed checks him. Reed takes a spill. The puck cleared to the point. Scott Stevens keeps it in. Over to Murphy. His slap shot caught by Bester and then dishes it over to Marsh. Sent off the sideboards to the point. Murphy keeps it in. Now back over to Scott Stevens. A deflection from right in front off Christian's stick. And that goes wide and then is banked off the boards and cleared all the way down back into the Washington zone. Pete Peters passes ahead looking for Murphy, but Katsopoulos takes over. Chris Katsopoulos a long slap shot. Peters blocks that aside. We're down to 30 seconds remaining now in the penalty call to Rick Lands. Scott Stevens skates behind the net. Leads it on the left wing side for Hunter. Hunter gets across the blue line. Stops, brings it over to Courtnall. He fires, and Bester the save. Lachlan tries to pick it up, but the whistle had blown. Rob Schick had lost sight of the puck and signals that play should be halted here with 17 seconds left in the penalty, 12:24 remaining in the period.
Dale Hunter sets up Jeff Courtnall very nicely. Courtnall with plenty of room in the middle. Settles that puck down and then snaps the shot high, but there you see Alan Bester standing, not committing himself, not trying to do anything until Courtnall lets him know what the shot is going to be. And Alan Bester scrambles to cover up the puck for just a moment. Rob Schick blows the whistle to take this face-off to Bester's right between Daou and Dale Hunter.
From the draw, here comes Zaya Frady for the Leafs. 10 seconds left in the penalty. Throws it back inside the Washington zone, and Langway's behind the net. Up the left wing boards for Courtnall. Loses the puck in his skates. He's checked by Reed. And now the right wing pass comes over to Gartner. Gartner tosses it back inside the Toronto zone. Katsopoulos gets log jammed up behind the net, but manages to make a clearing pass, and out comes Daoud to center. Fires it toward the Washington goal. Peters makes the stop and gives it off to Rod Langway. Right wing pass for Hatcher. Hatcher from center ice sends it in. Salming back in the Leaf zone. Penalty's over. Toronto back at full strength. Here's Marsh flipping it to the sideboards. We have a penalty call coming up against Washington. And the delayed call now is made. It's going to be tripping from referee Rob Schick. And there's a tie-up at the blue line. And now the Leafs will get their first crack at the power play. There's a break in the action with the score. The Capitals 1, the Maple Leafs nothing.
They say movers got it tough. They get a whole day to move their stuff around. Not us pizza movers. We get 30 minutes or less. And then there's a temptation. I'm telling you, nobody makes a more all-natural mouth-watering pizza than pizza movers. But any one of my customers ever found a bite missing from their pizza? Probably not.
Nobody delivers taste like pizza movers.
And the mental stress. You never know when... See what I mean?
Dale Hunter in the box for tripping. Time of the call, 8:29. Pretty obvious call. You'll see Hunter stick out his right leg and very clearly trip up Borje Salming in front. Rob Schick blows the whistle, and the Maple Leaf power play out on the ice for the first time tonight. As Mike told you, they're certainly having trouble with their specialty teams, and it all starts here.
21st in the league. Only 16% of the time are they scoring with a man advantage. Washington shorthanded 80% of the time. That's 11th in the league. Rick Lands fires it in from center ice. Gill lets it go. And here's Olczyk with the puck over to Salming. Salming to the right side. Now a slap shot by Olczyk, and that's deflected up into the crowd.
Are you looking for a great gift idea? How about a season ticket or a partial plan for the remaining Capital home games? It's a great home schedule with Wayne Gretzky coming in twice and the Edmonton Oilers on the 13th of January, plus Montreal and Calgary. In addition, there are 7 Patrick Division games remaining. For more information, sales reps are standing by right now to answer all of your questions. Give them a call at 386-7000. At number 386-7000.
Certainly a winter's contrast in temperatures and weather on this road trip for the Capitals. All that snow and frozen stuff in Quebec City, very cold, and now here in Toronto it's balmy for being in the early part of January. No snow on the ground whatsoever, but always that stiff breeze blowing.
Everything coming off the lake, supposed to even get a little warmer tomorrow.
Gould against Olchek, and Gould wins it, brings to the backboard. Now it's cleared to the point. Leafs have possession. Olchek sends it to the blue line, but Lands wasn't anticipating that pass, and it comes back out to center. A minute 15 left on the penalty call to Hunter for tripping that came along at 8:29 of the first period. Salming throws it behind the net. Over to Gary Lehman. Now to Todd Gill. Back to Lehman in the corner, puts it behind the goal. Olchek off the boards. To Gill, trying to deke his way past Bob Gould. Now back to Lehman, cutting in is Salming, but Lehman walks around right in front and fires into a crowd of players, and the Capitals clear that without much difficulty at all. Looked like Salming was going to be the trigger man on that play, the way he broke to the net. He takes possession now at center ice. Off the sideboards for Olchek. Gives it up. And Ledyard sends it all the way down with 30 seconds to go on the Hunter penalty. The Capitals with 5 shots on goal. The Maple Leafs with 3 so far. And Washington leads the game 1-0 on John Druce's second goal of the season. Vince Damphousse tries to center. Marois couldn't get a stick on it. He's hooked out of there by Langway. And Kelly Miller just sends it all the way down. Al Iafrate. 5 seconds to go in the Hunter penalty. Iafrate starts out. Leaves it ahead on the right wing side, and here's Fergus to the blue line. Penalty's over. Hunter's out of the box. The Capitals are at full strength. Now the puck centered from the side of the net. Pete Peters is able to knock it free, and it's cleared all the way back inside the Toronto zone. Iafrate back for it. Icing is the call against the Washington Capitals. 9:15 to go here in the first period. There's a break in the action with a score. Capitals 1, Maple Leafs nothing.
Your man in Washington has come through?
The Americans will be most displeased. Observe. The argon-activated radio-optic laser lights.
Amusing, Boris, but the party demanded Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Where is Boris? He is enjoying a cold one.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Underway once again here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Mike Forens with Al Koken and Jeff Rimmer here on DC 20. Scott Stevens starts the rush to center ice, dumps it back inside the Toronto zone. Now Ridley is hit hard in the corner, but Damphousse takes the puck. He bats it ahead to Fergus at center ice. Luke Richardson goes back to chase it inside the Maple Leaf zone. Gartner bumps him, and now Gartner is run against the side of the Maple Leaf net by Richardson. And now Richardson knocks Gartner down, and Mike Gartner takes a swing at him with his stick. Now a big pileup on the backboards, and Gartner trying to get in over the top of linesman Pat DiPuzzo. And Mike Gartner was struck twice by Luke Richardson, and only after the second hit did he attempt any sort of retaliation as he got his stick up while on his way down. He had been knocked to his back before he started to swing.
Well, we'll see what a factor that Gartner stick makes in what should have been an obvious, at least 2 minutes, probably a double minor for Luke Richardson for the way he attacked Mike Gartner. These two were exchanging little whacks earlier. Gartner trying to pay Richardson back for a shot Gartner took from Richardson earlier. There's the shot from behind that should have gotten the first penalty. Then the second penalty would have come when Gartner gets knocked down right here again. But Gartner responds with a slash right up in that face area, and that looks like it could also count for some sort of major penalty.
Looks like Gartner's going to the penalty box, and there you see another shot of that two-hander across the shoulder pads. But it looked like a case easily of interference and cross-checking against Richardson, and we'll see exactly what the extent is on Gartner's penalty call now as they both take seats in the box, and Rob Schick, the referee, talking it over with linesman Pat DiPuzzo and Ron Asseltine. And with the extent of the conversation here, Al, it leads me to believe that possibly Schick was not sure how it began, and he's asking for a little help, and a good move by him as an official.
Well, and you know, unless he hasn't completely made up his mind on Mike Gartner, if Mike Gartner's in that penalty box, it will not be a major stick penalty, because a major stick penalty would mean he's automatically tacked on with a game misconduct and gone. Oh, wait, if my lip reading is good, 5-minute major for slashing and a game misconduct to Mike Gartner. And in that situation, you can understand why Gartner's provoked, but you saw the replay, and there's no question that stick was up there and could have done serious damage, and that really is the only penalty that applies.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Schick has just pointed to the door and told Gartner to put his helmet on and get out of there. So he's kicked out of the game. And Mike is no doubt disgusted about it, but notice the way he controls himself as he's been kicked out of the game. You can certainly imagine quite a few players in the league that would go right over the glass in an instance like that.
Well, there's really no alternative. You can understand the provocation in Gartner's mind to try and retaliate after getting whacked twice, but there's no question that call has got to be made by Rob Schick. So we got a triple minor on Luke Richardson, so the Capitals will end up a 1-minute power play.
Total of 4 minutes for roughing to Richardson, and then 2 for slashing to Luke Richardson. And the time of the penalty calls comes at 11:14 of this first period. But irregardless of how many minors Richardson gets and whether or not the Capitals end up with a 1-minute power play, which they do, the bottom line is Mike Gartner is out of this game, and Brian Murray is demanding an explanation right now and is getting to hear it now from Ron Asseltine, the linesman.
Be sure to be with DC 20 later tonight for the Arsenio Hall Show at 11 p.m. Tonight's special guest is sex expert Dr. Ruth Westheimer. That's later tonight at 11 p.m. right here on DC 20, your superstation.
Well, the lesson out of this one, if you're getting pushed, if you're getting roughed, if you're getting shoved around and interfered with at the side of the net, that's fine, but don't retaliate with your stick. And that's the message trying to be sent here by Rob Schick in the National Hockey League, as Mike Gartner didn't retaliate, as we pointed out, until he was already taking a seat on the ice after being knocked down, but he did get the stick up there and took a swing at Richardson. And in the minds of the officials, that deserves a 5-minute major penalty plus a game misconduct.
But if I'm Luke Richardson, wouldn't you be looking over your shoulder most of the rest of the night? There were plenty of Capitals ready to go with him, trying to get at him after that. Regardless, they don't think Mike Gartner evened things up. They've lost one of their top players, and they feel that Gartner was attacked unnecessarily by Richardson. I would think there should be a few volunteers lined up to teach Luke Richardson a couple lessons on who to mess with and who not to mess with on the Washington Capitals. There better be anyway.
Well, we mentioned earlier that Gartner's swing at Richardson hit him right on the shoulder pads. I dare say the next hit to Luke will be a little harder than that stick. Gustafson works for the draw, but it's finally poked back to the blue line for Iafrate, and he takes it inside the Maple Leaf zone.
And of course, if we have no further minor penalties or major penalties here, a fascinating situation going on. We're going to have a long, extended period of 4-on-4 hockey.
Here's Christian to center ice. Gets across the blue line, drops it off, and Hatcher's shot hits the crossbar. It had been deflected and rose right up and hit the crossbar and then sailed up into the second tier of seats.
I think Alan Bester lost this for just a second. Now watch it. He's got a little screen to work with this Hatcher. A little deflection there really makes it. And Bester ducking down as that shot from Hatcher goes off the stick of Kostopoulos. Bester ducks down a little bit with the head, but tries to get the stick arm up and block it with the shoulder. And that just goes right off the crossbar, kind of fluttering down on it.
Faceoff has Daou against Gustafson, and it goes to the sideboards. Caps get it back to Rod Langway. Now over on the right wing, here comes Christian to center ice. 4-on-4 hockey, a drop pass for Gustafson at the blue line. He's wrestled off the boards by Lands, and here comes a break for Daou in on Langway. He fires, and Peters makes the stick save. Hatcher clears it off the sideboards, and Salming goes back to take it. Now a jam up behind the net. Here's Gustafson. Tries to pass to Christian, but Gagne takes it away. Gustafson and Daou in the corner. Gustafson moves it ahead finally to Hatcher, and Kevin Hatcher tosses the puck rink wide for Rod Langway. Here comes Langway to center ice. Still plenty of time left in those 2 penalty calls. It'll be another 3.5 minutes. More than that. Well, now there won't be any kind of a power play here. Let's see what the call is going to be from Rob Schick. It's going to be against Toronto. So we'll straighten the whole thing out for you when we come back. There's a break in the action right now. The Capitals lead them.
Rod Langway. He's got the arm wrapped around the middle of Rod Langway, helping him down to the ice. There's a guy you don't expect to see in those situations, Mike. Rod Langway working along the boards, trying to get something going 4-on-4, and he gets Rick Lands to commit a penalty to give the Capitals an interesting power play with 4-on-3 hockey.
Pretty good evidence there for some of the people around the league that say Langway's slowed down. Look how he's used in that situation. Here's Courtnall across the blue line. Back to the point. Murphy feeds it over to Stevens. Rink wide. It's picked off. Murphy fires up high off the glass. Now Marsh tosses it behind the net to Olczyk in the corner. And Olczyk starts out. Flips it all the way down the ice. And Peters stops it at the side of the net. Over now to Larry Murphy. Here comes Murphy to the blue line. Stick handles to center ice. Gets across the line. Murphy backs it up for Mike Ridley. Only 3 Maple Leafs out there, 4 Capitals, and here's Murphy turning at the face-off circle, back to the right point. Murphy brings it over now to Stevens. Back to Larry Murphy. Feeds it over, and Courtnall looked for Ridley in front, but fired it right between his skates. Back to Scott Stevens. Over now to Courtnall. Again to Larry Murphy. Courtnall tries to one-time it and fans on his shot, and Marsh banks it off the boards and clears it all the way down. 35 seconds left in the penalty to Lands. He'll be the first man out of the box. And we'll be back to 4-on-4 for a while. Gustafson at the blue line, tied up by Olczyk, and he pops it back to the Washington zone. Hatcher brings to center. Kevin Hatcher across the Maple Leaf line. Has it taken away, but Stevens recovers. He fires. The shot blocked, but in the meantime, a penalty call is coming for tripping. And this one is going to be called at 14:15 of the first period. And this time it's going to be a Washington player going to the box. It'll be Kevin Hatcher for tripping. There's a break in the action with a score. The Capitals 1 and the Maple Leafs nothing. Face-off will be just outside the blue line here, and we've got 14 seconds left on the call to Rick Lands. And now a full 2 minutes put up there to Kevin Hatcher. So now it's 3-on-3. It's like a little pickup game after practice.
But very soon, in just the next 8 seconds, it will be 4-on-3 advantage for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Stevens behind the goal starts out way out to Gustafson, and he tosses it down back inside the Leaf zone. Lands is out of the box. So the next penalty that will expire will be the call to Mike Gartner. Mike Miller is serving that on Gartner's behalf. Dom Foose back to the blue line. Iafrate over to Lands. Now to Iafrate. Into the corner. Here's Dom Foose with it behind the net. Back out to Lands. He fires, and a save made by Peters. And Fergus kept out of there by Rod Langway. The Capitals will have Miller serving the penalty on Gartner's behalf, and Kevin Hatcher coming out of the box just 1 second apart. 1 minute left on the Gartner call, served by Miller, and a second more than that on Hatcher. At the side of the goal, Fergus strikes the side of the netting, and now the puck centered out to Rick Lands. Feeds it over to Iafrate. He fires. Peters with a kick save. Back to Lands. Now to Iafrate. Brings it to Dom Foose. Back to Iafrate. A drive, and Peters just got his skate blade on that. And Gustafson picks it up and clears it all the way down. Al Iafrate back in his own zone. The Capitals and Leafs change on the fly. Gary Lehman skates ahead on the right wing. Into the corner, chased by Scott Stevens. Pass to Katsopoulos. He fires, and a good pad save there by Peters, who had some traffic in front of him. The Capitals cleared all the way down. All right, here comes Miller out of the box. Hatcher is right behind him. He's on the ice. And now Washington with a power play. 55 seconds left in the Luke Richardson penalties. He had 3 minors, remember. Katsopoulos brings it out to Lehman. Lehman takes it back into his own end to kill off more time. And now Olczyk just slaps it all the way down the ice. Lead pass on the right wing for Hunter. Dale Hunter over to Jeff Courtnall. Works it to Murphy on the right wing. Into the corner goes Larry Murphy. Back to Courtnall. Jeff Courtnall back in action tonight for the first time since that injury, which he was hit by Steve Conroy of Chicago. Puck cleared all the way down as the Capitals tried to move to the point men. And now Pete Peters sends it ahead to Hunter on the right wing. Now to Jeff Courtnall. Courtnall back into the skates of Hunter. At the blue line, it's taken away and cleared inside the Maple Leaf zone. Lands back after it. Penalty's over. Richardson's out of the box. He heads to the bench. Both teams are at full strength. Peters makes the play to the corner, and Ledyard goes over after it. Bats it behind the goal for Larry Murphy. On the right wing to Dave Christian. Christian out to center ice. Hits Courtnall with a pass at the blue line. Lachlan back to take it. Shovels it back out to center ice, and here's Hunter now back to his own line for Langway. 2 minutes, 10 seconds left to play here in the first period at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. 1-0 is the score. Washington has the lead, and now as it's touched by Marsh, it's a call of icing against the Caps.
Capitals return home this weekend for a great doubleheader. On Friday night, the Stanley Cup champion Edmonton Oilers make their only Cap Center appearance at 8:05. It will also be Food for All Seasons night. All fans who bring 3 cans of food will receive a team autograph cup free. Then on Sunday, the Boston Bruins take on the Caps at 1:35 p.m. All fans 16 and under will receive a Caps t-shirt. There are still plenty of good seats remaining at all Hex, ticket centers, or by calling phone charge at 432-0200 or toll-free 1-800-448-9009. Operators are on duty until 10 p.m. 2:06 left to go in this first period. Pete Peters and the Capitals holding on to a 1-0 lead over the Maple Leafs. Bobby Gould to face off against Vincent Damphousse.
Iafrady's shot is blocked, and now Fergus the drive, and that's taken away. And here comes John Druce on the comeback for Washington. 2 minutes to play in the first period. Into the corner, Francischetti has it taken away. Druce back, and he and Katsopoulos collide, and now out comes Al Iafrady to Vincent Damphousse. Brings it over to Fergus. Fergus across the line, tries the drop pass, but that's stolen, and Stevens sends it back to center. Iafrady to play it there. Dumps it into the Washington zone. Damphousse steals the puck on his backhand, now turns it around. Trying to get away from Toronto native Lou Francischetti. At the side of the net. Cleared to the point. Marsh couldn't keep it in. A delayed offside is now called. And play is stopped with 1:16 left here in the first period. Brad Marsh contesting that offside with linesman Ron Asseltine, who is standing right next to him. Of course, the whole puck has to be outside the whole blue line and then across the whole blue line. But each thought they had the better view of it. They were both standing right next to one another.
But only one view counts.
The Capitals coming into this contest with 51 points, tied for first place in the Patrick Division with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Washington leading the Rangers by 1 point, the Flyers by 3, the Devils by 12, and the Islanders are 27 points back of the Washington Capitals. Capitals' stride to first place helped quite a bit by that 5-game unbeaten string that they've been on since the 2nd of January. Of course, Washington has lost just once in their last 10 games with 6 wins, a loss, and 3 ties. We're in the final minute of play here in this first period. Todd Gill starts out over to Marsh. Back to Borje Salming. He's chased by Gustafsson in to do some forechecking, and now Leach, the follow-up man, but it's sent back out to center ice. Marsh back to chase it again. Gustafsson keeps it in play over to Corriveau. Marsh goes after him. Here's Leach, tied up by Lehman. Now Marsh with it behind the net. Sends it ahead for Todd Gill. Out to center ice. Larry Murphy. Bats it to Leach, to Courtnall. He sidesteps Salming and lets go a drive, and it's stopped by Bester. Back come the Leafs on the attack with 10 seconds to play in the period. Lehman across the blue line, but his drop pass is outside the zone, and Gill brings that in. Offside Toronto.
Boy, Jeff Courtnall makes the veteran Borja Salming look pretty foolish. Salming was playing the buck, not letting him get that body lined up with Courtnall, and Courtnall makes an excellent little deke to fool the veteran and get open. Alan Bester has to stop a bullet from Jeff Courtnall.
Hope you'll stay with us at our first intermission tonight. Jeff Rimmer will be talking with a man who's many times as much a part of the news as anybody in this game of hockey, and that is Alan Eagleson, who will be Jeff Rimmer's guest at our first intermission. 4 seconds left in the period. Here's Langway back to the blue line, and as he brings it to center ice, the horn sounds. Shots on goal during the first period. Washington with 11, or rather Toronto with 11 shots and Washington with 8 shots on goal, but the Capitals have a 1-0 lead on the second goal of the season by John Druce from Gould and Francischetti at 3:13 of period 1. More live exclusive hockey coverage coming your way from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, after we pause for these messages here on your Superstation for Sports, DC 20.